The Crit Show contains elements of horror, fantasy violence, and adult language. Content warnings can be found in the episode description.
Now the silence down here is oppressive.
I find it relaxing.
It's so quiet now.
Yeah, there was a thundering horde of children on the floor above us.
Yeah, playing laser tag.
Oh, is that what they were doing?
Yes.
Oh, and we interrupted that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rev was the one who had to go up there and be an adult because none of the rest of us are capable of it.
And then Jake was the one that went to the door and
I peeked.
listened in. He's like, I want to see what his approach is.
Like I was trying to catch Santa placing
Yeah.
presents.
And then Tass and I got a bunch of gummy snacks while they were gone.
Yeah. We're a family.
Ah.
Yeah, Tass was like, we're 10 years old. And I was like, I'm having a baby.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Crit Show, where we are playing the Clockwinders. Last time, our heroes took action on their heist. Maxine and Carver infiltrated the gala as renowned guests and drew some attention away from Kade and Einon, who tracked down some assets, we'll say, got up on the roof and swapped one ice sculpture for a much better one, allowing Lazaroff to reveal it and make an ass of himself just as the sculpture had before fleeing off into, I was going to say the sunset, but it's quite dark here, so just into the night with their spoils and their well-earned sense of victory. One thing that we hadn't done, I forgot about, that we probably should have done before the caper, we should have leveled you up. So we ought to do that now.
Yeah.
Because as of leaving Carcadia, again, the world has changed, both in repairing another movement core, but also in like breaking down this barrier between you and the Fae via Roland, like learning this history and kind of creating this alliance again. I think the circumstances of Kedvini are monumentally different. So that earns us another major milestone level up. I don't think we need to go through all of the options and stuff. We have taken care of the bookkeeping already. So let's go through and talk about what we have changed. Rev, let's start with you.
Okay, I am going to swap out physique for athletics, mostly because the first time I took it, that's what I thought I was getting, only to later discover that physique is really just about kind of getting an extra hit point that I never marked down. And then I am taking Deceive. It's strange that a thief didn't have it, but a merchant does.
Not that strange.
And I got back to my burglar roots this last caper. So Deceive.
Say burglar roots 10 times faster. Burglar roots, burglar roots, burglar roots.
Burgle Root sounds like a character name and like a cute little...
That's a root character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then I am taking that point of refresh that we get and instantly spending it on a stunt called Ether Bond. Once per scene, you can spend a fate point to consult with the magic of your blood bond to determine which course of action to take. And so that is just, Roland had said like, oh yeah, we're bound now, and the ether will decide whether what you're doing is right or wrong and, help you, hurt you. And so I like the idea of kind of a ether-based trust your gut when it comes to a fork in the road.
Fabulous. Tass.
I have bumped up my shoot above the cap, so it is a +6 now. I don't know, on the side where the pluses are, it says like what level they are, like, +3 is good, superb is 5, etc. I'm sure there's on your scale what it's called for 6, but I just wrote literal God next to it.
It's not quite. It is fantastic.
I didn't write. I wrote this in pen, so
Well, burn that sheet, and now you're back at nothing.
oh no.
You've wronged me for the last time.
Oh no. And I also spent my new refresh on a new stunt. Megan and I have been talking about this one for a long time. And just haven't had a reason to do this. And
We still don't.
We still don't. I took a stunt called Good Cop. Kindness is more effective when given a basis for comparison. You get a +2 to rapport when creating advantages to assist someone who has the bad cop stunt. So that's what I took.
Okay. And Megan?
I also took Good Cop. No, I'm spending a point of refresh to take Bad Cop. So cruelty is more effective when given a basis for comparison. Once per scene, gain +2 to provoke when invoking an aspect created by someone who has the Good Cop stunt. So yeah, there may not really be a narrative reason for taking this. Yes, I'm down to 2 refresh, but you know what? It's worth it because, like Tass and I talked about, the bid is really just to take it. We hope it comes up, but really that's not the point. I also took another stunt called Hex. Ether is a change agent for chaos. You can shower a target with ether, shuffling the endless possibilities for them. Once per scene, you can spend a fate point to force a player or GM to reroll.
Okay.
I also bumped my rapport up to a +5, and I am going to change my high concept.
Ooh.
I think having Clockwinder Legacy has been my high concept because it's such a integral part of Maxine's personality. You know, this fact that she's become a Clockwinder like her grandmother and is carrying on this legacy and this purpose. But having talked to Roland and learned all this actual history, she's realizing that, like, hey, the thing that you're doing is important, but it's not why you thought you were doing it. And there's this further story behind it that changes the perspective of everything you thought you knew. So I'm changing my high concept to amending Clockwinder.
Nice.
All right. So that will conclude our level ups. Let's then hop back into our story. I think we just smash cut in Guy Ritchie style to raucous celebration at the ice flow down in the bar, with all of you guys getting, like, people are handing you drinks, people are cheering. The actual ice sculpture is standing on Carver's table, just in that corner booth, in front of everybody. And they're all just fucking partying it up, celebrating getting one over on Lazaroff, and congratulating all of you for your hand in the ploy. Kade, I think you are seeing a good number of old familiar faces. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but lots of people that you know from your past are coming up and, like, clapping you on the back, handing you shots, things like that. Like, it's good to have you back and you did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, now that I know that Carver isn't going to do something terrible to me, yeah, it's great. It's great to see old friends.
Yeah, I think that, like, for how many of them are congratulating you, you probably do notice a couple that are still, like, you get the impression that if you hadn't come in and immediately pulled this off,
Yeah.
this wouldn't have been as warm of a welcome. And some of them still aren't entirely warm to you.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it, I'm curious who still isn't warm to you, and why do you think that is?
Maggie, I think that she had to work quite a few jobs under supervision to even get in to Carver's circle, and she was always, like, envious of the things that I could do. And so I think that there is a Return of the Prodigal Son kind of vibe to her.
Okay. What about Einon and Maxine? Are you partaking of the festivities?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm having drinks and participating in some friendly bare-knuckle boxing.
Okay.
Some of the crew, you know, throwing down bets. We're all just sort of taking turns with different matches with each other, having a good old time.
Yeah, just every now and then somebody sitting at a table talking and they just lift their drink up as one of you goes rolling across it and then they set it back down.
Yep.
I'm just talking to people, showing off my pretty dress. I'm just having a good time.
So I think this wonderful night goes by, probably turns into a blur for most of you at some point, and you find yourselves waking up the following morning in a much quieter, much stiller ice flow tavern in Carver's room, just kind of sprawled out in various places in it. But Carver is the one waking you. You hear him just call out, "Wakey, wakey!" And he's walking back into the room with like glasses and food on a tray. He's got breakfast for everyone that he sets at that table you were convening at the night prior.
Oh, it still feels so dark out. It's hard to think of this is a time I should be awake. I'm not used to this lack of sunlight.
Oh, Maxine, darling, could you stop screaming, please? I didn't realize crime could give you such a headache.
You want some hair of the dog?
Ew, what? I didn't have any dog hair last night.
It just means that, like, to kind of cure what ails you, you have a little more to get back in the groove.
I'll do anything. I'll do anything.
You can have a little bit. He does set aside like a bottle that he has on this tray, just what is clearly another liquor bottle that's like half full, but not too much. We need to stay sharp. I think it's time to plan our trip now.
Yes.
Yeah, he gestures for all of you to join him at the table. You're all able to grab some food and drink, whatever you want. And he says, okay, so we are going out across the Frost Sea. It sounds like we are going further than any voyage has been in recorded history, yes?
Well, I don't know. I guess you would have a better idea of how true that is. I don't know if this is farther than anyone's gone, but it's definitely a location that isn't well known.
Yeah, and I can show you, and I'll get our map out and lay it out next to his.
Yeah, he is kind of comparing between the two and like nodding.
It's as precise as we can get between what we learned from the movement cores and from Roland. I mean, it should be right about here, and I'll point to that spot on the map.
Well, barring the unforeseeable, of which obviously there will be much, the first obstacle that I am seeing is here. And he kind of like traces a line on the map. Right about here is where the ice becomes, well, more ice than sea. It will become quite difficult for the ship to traverse. The way I see it, there are a couple of options. Either we anchor there and we make the rest of the journey on foot, which seems quite troubling to me, very difficult, probably not something that is impossible, though not something that has been tried. Or we see if we can't break up some of this ice with the ship and push our way further in. But for that, and he looks at you, Kade, I think we're going to need a little bit of the Atwater magic, modify the ship into an icebreaker.
Yeah.
That seems like the most prudent step for you in the long run, if it's something that you would like to be able to make use of in the future.
Oh yes, I mean, this would be wonderful for me even after this journey is over.
How precise would that be? Would we be in danger of damaging the core at all if we're breaking up ice around it?
Well, it's hard to say. Without knowing precisely where it is or exactly how far in we have to get, it's hard to know whether we even can break the ice that deep in. I'd imagine wherever the movement core is, it is, in a sense, terrestrial, so probably the landmass will be quite thick by then and we'll be on foot one way or another.
Well, that's fair. I suppose putting our eggs in several baskets would be the best course. We go as far as we can breaking the ice, give you an entry point, so to speak, and then when we have to walk, we will. Would I know, are there beasts of burden down here that, like, people ride on that could, like, handle the cold?
Why don't you give me a lore roll? I think you're going to try to overcome with lore and trying to beat a 3.
Oh, okay. 5.
Okay. I think that, like, around here, you see people using animals for labor, but it doesn't seem like anything that could withstand the conditions you know you're moving into, that it's going to get harsher out there. I think, though, that you recall myths of, like, creatures that live out in the Frost Sea, not in the water, but, like, on the land masses out there. Obviously, things that nobody alive has ever actually laid eyes on, but, like, you know, storybook creatures that supposedly live out there, some of which you think would maybe be breakable and, you know, utilizable. In particular, because you remember one of these tales that lists a weakness for one of them. Not like a weakness, like a thing that they'll go bananas for, that you could use to ingratiate yourself with them. What is it?
What is the creature?
We can establish this together.
Okay.
And in either order.
They are Rhymespire unicorns.
Okay.
They're frosty horse boys.
Okay. Yeah, they're built like fucking Clydesdales.
Yeah.
But yeah, their horn is like a spindle of ice. And they are just tanky, furry quadrupeds.
Hell yeah.
And what do they go nuts for? What can you bring on this voyage that you think you'd be able to tame one with?
I think that they eat a lot of just like the bare minimum things that could possibly grow down there. Like they're rooting down through the ice and stuff for like just the simplest, barest roots. So if they could just get some actual fresh vegetables, like fresh carrots and things like that, that are just much tastier than the bullshit that they have down there available in those harsh conditions, then that's like just candy to them.
Okay.
I love this because you say unicorns and this sounds like fantastical and wild, but really it's just like the land version of a narwhal.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Now I'm picturing them way blubberier.
Blubbery Clydesdales.
Gotta stop calling me that. Carver is still kind of like tracing routes on the map, like with his fingers. But without averting his eyes from it, he does say, well, if we're going to fit the ship, we're going to need materials and we're going to need time. Obviously, I don't know what either of those are as well as Atwater does, but perhaps we should get moving on sourcing those supplies and getting to work. I imagine we don't want to waste any time, correct?
Yeah.
He looks to Einon and Maxine. I can see that you have come prepared with equipment for yourselves, but the crew is going to need equipment if they're going to accompany on this voyage as well. So perhaps the two of you could go looking for additional materials that will keep them with us, at least as far as making land. We'll need them to operate the ship.
Absolutely. How many of your crew are there?
Yes, if you could get us a list with their measurements and any
Color preferences?
yes preferences there, material allergies.
He smirks. None of that is going to be necessary. Just get whatever the cheapest, most universally fitting equipment is. That will be fine. They're not picky.
All right.
All right, let's start with Einon and Maxine then, because I think that this will be simple enough. This is going to be a resources roll to source materials for the crew.
I almost put a point in resources.
Sorry.
I almost did it, and I didn't.
Because you still have none, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not even a teamwork. So this is Maxine's job, and Einon's just there to carry shit.
Yep.
So Maxine, why don't you create an advantage with resources? He does give you a number, and the crew number's in the 30s. Like, there are a lot of people it takes to operate a ship out here.
Golly.
So I think you're trying to beat a 3 to find equipment for all of them.
Before you do this, can I be like chatting people up as we're looking for these supplies? Like, talking to people to find like the best quality stuff, or even like the people that we're talking to for these supplies. Just, I just kind of want to schmooze a little bit and try to butter them up before Maxine swoops in to
haggle?
Yeah.
Sure.
So you would good cop them before I bad cop them?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, read me good cop again.
Kindness is more effective when given a basis for comparison. Get a +2 to rapport when creating advantages to assist someone who has the bad cop stunt.
Okay. So yeah, creating an advantage to help Maxine create an advantage. Yeah, go ahead and roll to create an advantage with rapport. We'll call it the same difficult. Let's say this is a 3 also.
Okay. With the boost that gives me, it brings me to a 3.
Okay. Do you want to spend anything to make it a success rather than a tie?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll spend team player.
Okay. So that'll create an advantage with 1 free invoke. Call it friendly merchants.
Okay.
So now, Maxine, give me that resources roll, trying to beat a 3, and you have this additional aspect you can invoke for free.
That puts me at a 2.
Whoa.
So I will use that free invoke.
Yay.
Good call, Tass.
Whew.
I love when a plan comes together.
So that'll get you to a 4. It would create this aspect with 1 free invoke. Do you want to spend anything to bump it up to a success with style and get an additional free invoke out of it?
Yeah, sure.
What are you utilizing?
Can I use enraptured partygoers? Like, everybody at the party was totally into the stories I was telling, and like some of that is carried over into the next day.
Fascinating. Yeah, go ahead. I would have considered that expired, but I like the rationale that like those were people around town, or like these stories have passed hands since last night?
Yeah, because it wasn't a boost. It was an advantage.
Yeah. Okay.
And like your family's attached to all that merchant life, you know?
Yeah, like even if you start passing your last name around some more, like people are gonna be like, oh fuck, I heard about what you did at the party last night. I heard, oh man, you were telling that story. That's sick. Okay, cool. So that will get a...
Did you see the butt face sculpture?
Did you see it with your own eyes? Tell us about
They
it.
turned it into a drink luge.
Oh no!
An aspect with 2 free invokes. Let's just call it crew gear. So you are able to spend your day going around sourcing all of these materials for the rest of the squad. Jumping over to Kade. So I think that Carver is sticking with you throughout today. And he's like kind of offering himself up as your gopher. Like he's like, all right, so what do we need? Where are we going? What do we do first?
Can you tell me how his ship works? Like, is his ship ether powered? You know, it generates steam to move. Is it just sails? How does his ship work?
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
The same question.
how much would Kade know of like Carver's tricks and secrets?
I feel like I would know anything except whatever he has updated in the last like year since I've joined the Clockwinders.
So like you had like top clearance,
Yeah.
and the only adversity is that your knowledge is out of date.
Yeah. Because I imagine I built some of his secrets.
Okay. Then I think what you know off the top of your head, his ship is a sailing vessel. It is a masted vessel. But shortly before your departure, he was kind of like kicking around some ideas of like trying to mechanize it somehow. So I don't think you know what shape that took in your absence, but like if he was planning to follow up on that, there is something effectively under the hood of this ship then beyond just it being a sales ship.
Well, I think I need to... What's his ship's name?
Tass, what's the ship name?
Pull out your list.
Mr. Ship Names, what's the ship name?
I don't have that list with me anymore. Hot Nugget.
It's the Hot Nugget. It they named it that because it makes them feel like they're still warm in the freezing ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to take a minute to get a look around the Hot Nugget.
let me get my hands on your Hot Nugget.
I just went on record that I was put on the spot.
In this improv show.
Excuse me for asking you to come up with details in the moment.
I want it on record that this was the moment that I had to come up with something on
Yeah.
the fly.
Hey,
They found out our secret that's been scripted the last few years.
Tass is
Oh
parting the
no!
and this is what we wrote?
curtain. All right, yeah, he leads you down to the docks. His ship is not one of the largest here by any means. It seems like it strikes a pretty good balance of like heft and maneuverability, which makes sense because he kind of is doing... He needs both of those in his line of work. Like he's out here on frozen oceans. He needs to be able to power through some shit, but he also needs to be able to dodge some people if it comes down to it. And some of the crew that you recognize, some that you were partying with last night, are already like readying the ship. But he walks you up the gangplank and he says, I think you're going to like this. I'm not sure that it will be up to your standards. We had to call in a temp to take care of it in your absence, but it is the culmination of some ideas we were speaking about before you left. And he does give you like a little bit of like a narrowed eyes, like giving you shit, like talking about you leaving. But he leads you below decks to the door of what you knew to be the captain's cabin down here, towards the aft of the ship, like towards the back. It was kind of the largest room, and it was kind of the largest room, like single chamber on this boat. But he opens the door, and you are immediately met with like the smell of grease and oil and the tinge of ether in the air. And you can see that you are looking at, on either side of this cabin, 2 big wheels with like paddles on them. And you can see that there is a wooden hull of the ship beyond them, but it looks like there is a mechanism designed into this to let them like open compartments and put these wheels out and make this ship ether powered and make it actually like paddle itself rather than being reliant on the wind.
That's rad.
Okay.
Yes, the hot nugget got a little bit hotter.
Yeah.
Then the figurehead turns into a swan and everyone has to put the feet on the pedals.
Yes. Every hammock has pedals.
And the ether use is funded by ads.
This is not much good for speed, necessarily, but it is strong. So as far as trying to break through goes, this tends to be an asset.
Yeah. All right. I got an idea. And I will start to lay out for him the equipment that I think we're going to need. And what I'm going to try to make is, so we've got these engines in the back already, one on each side, that can power the wheels. And I want to make it so that they can have a crank coming off of them going towards the front of the ship, and two big platforms, metal if we can get it, that are on basically like the kind of the equivalent of this. They sit in the very front of the ship, and then you can open the compartment, they come up, and they move to the sides. And what they do is they forcibly drop down and rise up and drop down. And if they're going as the same time as the wheel, if they hit the ice and don't break through, it'll continue to lift the ship a little bit, push it forward, and then drop the weight of the ship onto the ice.
All right, yeah, I think he's nodding along as you're explaining this. He doesn't totally understand what you're talking about, but it seems like he trusts your expertise. So I think that this also is going to start with a resources roll.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is an instance where... do you have resources?
No.
Okay. He can actually make this roll for you. And it could have been a teamwork if you had resources.
I do have burglary.
Can we steal these?
I could steal resources.
Interesting. We could zag. This could instead be a burglary roll. I just think the stakes of failure are higher.
Yeah. I could help a lot more with burglary, but I trust him to get resources if he wants.
No, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's do a burglary.
Okay.
Who are we burgling to get these materials?
You know who.
Is it Lazaroff?
Yeah.
He's probably already otherwise engaged.
You're right.
He's due for a burgle.
Yeah.
Like, he did a burgle, and we didn't exactly do a burgle. We did an unburgle. So now we got to do a burgle to get back at him.
So that he can unburgle later.
No, he doesn't get to.
All right. So let's create an advantage with burglary.
Okay.
You can take a +1 from Carver's assistance. I think this is going to be tough because you are trying to get some big shit, like some large scale material, and you're trying to get it from a guy who might be on guard because he was just robbed 12 hours ago. So let's say you're trying to beat a 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, superbly difficult.
Okay.
Oh, no.
What'd you get?
I got a 3. I almost couldn't have rolled worse.
But you could have.
Yeah, it's true.
And
But
can
if you
still.
re-rolled,
Yeah.
Your odds
I don't know the
are
statistics.
better
Yeah.
re-rolling. There's only a 1 in 8 chance that you roll worse than that.
I don't know if that's how statistics work.
I
Like
mean,
every new die roll.
yeah, but it only has a 1 in 8 chance of being worse than this one.
Oh, that's true.
Because there's only one outcome of 8 that is
Yeah.
worse than the one
Yeah,
you
if the
just
dice roll a number, they can't roll it again.
rolled. Everybody knows that. That's why Tass has so many, because he rolls them so often.
That's what they mean by double jeopardy.
You can yeah, I'm going to spend a point to re-roll. I'm going to do I notice what's out of place. I think like the first, like there's just there are too many guards the first location we go to that are hidden. Like it almost seems like he's actually on extra guard.
Okay.
8.
Okay.
Hell yeah, there we go.
A worthy spend. So that is a success with style. You will get 2 free invokes. What do we want to call this aspect?
Ill-gotten goods.
Okay, I like it. So you and Carver, and I imagine some of the crew, commit another thieving and make off with some of these heavy metals, some of the mechanisms you need to craft this device and get it back to the Hot Nugget, which I'm going to take every opportunity to say instead of, if there is a time when I could have said the ship, I'm going to say the Hot Nugget.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think next is just, it's another burglary. It would be a crafts, but for you it is a burglary. So let's overcome. Do we want to overcome or do we want to create another advantage? We should probably create another advantage. We're putting an aspect on this ship. We are changing like what it is and what it is capable of.
Sure.
So let's create an advantage with burglary again.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
I think whether it's a overcome or creating advantage is, do you imagine a scenario where one of us is going to have to roll getting the ship through the ice?
I don't know that one of you is going to have to roll to, like, captain the ship through the ice, but I could see a scenario where the fact that the ship can do this is advantageous to one of you.
Yeah.
On some other roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you might not be using this new aspect for the job it was created for, but you could still use it somehow.
Okay.
So yeah, let's do create an advantage with burglary. Let's say you're trying to beat I mean, honestly, this mechanically, this doesn't seem that buck wild for the types of things that you have done. A 3?
Okay. So I'm at a 5. I will spend one of my ill-gotten goods just to make it a success with style.
Okay. Let's just call this one Icebreaker with 2 free invokes.
Hell yeah.
I wrote down ill-gotten goods, but every time I try to rewrite it, I write lil, like L-I-L, ill-gotten goods.
Lil gotten goods. Just babies. I think a fair amount of time passes. You know, it takes the better part of the day for Maxine and Einon to gather their equipment. Longer than that, I think, for you guys to gather materials for the ship and then to actually make the modifications. I imagine it's going to be a couple of days before you actually launch on this voyage. Additionally, I want to ask, how secretive are you being about the crafting of this on the ship?
I think the only part that anybody not a part of the crew sees is the final step of removing the top deck in the front, only to reapply it as 2 separate pieces.
Okay. Is there anything else that any of you guys want to get done before you set off?
Nothing specific necessarily to accomplish. I just would keep my promise and go catch up with Sorsha, see what she's been up to, get the hot goss, etc.
Okay. Yeah, I think when you walk in, she is sitting behind her big velvety circular table, and she just says, "How'd it go? What was that for?"
Oh, it was perfect. We were doing a favor for someone to get a favor and needed to embarrass someone in the process. It was marvelous.
Yeah, I assumed it needed to be a deliberate embarrassment. When I woke up and felt like I needed to order an ice sculpture with a butt for a face, I couldn't imagine it was going any other direction.
Yes, well, you know me.
And you owe me.
Yes.
That guy is not cheap, especially for rush jobs. Did you see his gallery?
Oh, yes.
So talented.
Marvelous work. I also need to stop by and visit him before I leave as well.
So what's up? Where have you been? How's life?
It has become wild in the last several months in particular. We're out fixing movement cores.
Interesting. Feels a little bit domesticated for you.
You would think that, but the things that we've had to deal with in the course of all of this have been far more intense than most of what we used to get up to.
Well, what brings you here then? There's no core in Port Valles.
No, there's not. There are, in theory, some of them out in the sea.
What are you talking about? Like, they got dug up and dumped out there, or?
No. There are apparently many more dotting through both the sunward side of the world and the dark side. It's something that we only learned about for certain weeks ago.
Oh, neat.
Yes, it's something that we're going to look into. We have a few theories, and we've had a few revelations that would make your jaw drop. Stuff that I don't want to talk about quite yet in detail until we find what we need to.
Well, it sounds like you got your hands full. Is there anything I can do to help?
Just have a drink with me and let's catch up on all the little things.
Gladly.
And if you'd like, I'll be posing nude for an ice sculpture later if you'd like to attend.
No, thank you.
Fair.
All right, yeah, she walks you back over to the door to her shop. She flips the open sign to closed and locks up, and you guys head off to one of the nearby taverns to drink and chat. And then we can just sort of fast forward past the part where you go model nude for an ice sculpture.
No, I have some specific thoughts if we'd like to.
I do want to, so I'm placing my hands a certain distance apart, and that distance is going to keep increasing, and you tell me when to stop.
You just stop because it's very cold. You just don't move a muscle.
And that's how close he gets to you while he's still doing the ice sculpture.
How closely he studies you.
Like with a jeweler's loop. I mean, he is way in there. Maxine, is there anything you want to do before your voyage begins?
I think I'm just taking the time to journal and making note of just some of the merchants that I've met here and knowing that my parents' name means something here, just in the sense of like the proximity of Carcadia, but like the thought that I might have developed more of a connection to some merchants here to help them later. I want to have that all kind of documented.
Okay.
I think the only thing I would have made sure to do before we left too is just to grab a couple of bags of like fresh roots, carrots and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think like rations in general were among the things that he had on his grocery list for you guys. Like, you have outfitted the ship for this expedition. Cool. So these couple of days go by. Kade gets the hot nugget fitted for journeying out. Just quiet head shakes around the table.
Even for me. Like, he says it and we all just look down and shake our heads.
Carver gets the crew aboard, you all included. He introduces you briefly to all of them, to your quarters, where you'll be staying along this journey. Lets you know that based on the map, he thinks this is going to be kind of a long voyage, which you guys probably could have also sussed out. Like, this isn't news to you, but like over a week out there, just crossing the water at best. He lets you know maybe more if the environment is particularly challenging or this device doesn't work how we hope it will. So you all take off, making your way, charting waters unknown across the Frost Sea. He explained to you that like this line on the map is kind of where like it almost becomes terrain again. The ice is so thick. But that is not reflected on your map. As you are sailing, looking over the sides of the ship, like, the map just shows a guess at what might be out here, an approximation of what might be out here. And Carver seems to have marginally more information than that, but not by a lot. Like, at some point, just, what you are seeing from here is not what the map reflects at all. There are gigantic glaciers. There are large, like, flat ice flows. You see plenty of cold water sea life swimming along underneath the ship, plenty of fish and things like that. And it is just getting colder and colder and darker every hour that this ship is moving. You are moving further and further away from the sun. On the plus side, though, the night sky is beautiful. It is more clear than you've ever seen it. You can see the stars brightly and clearly. There is just nothing out here to pollute that view. In the midst of all of just the darkness of the water around you and the sky around you, the stars gleam beautifully. And the first few days of this journey are pretty uneventful. You do get a few chances to deploy the icebreaker when it comes up to like a flow that, Carver's kind of like, well, we could go around it or we can try to go through it. I say we try to go through it and test this thing. And it works a treat. It just smashes through these ice flows, gets you traveling in a straight line without having to waste time diverting around them. And he's just tickled by that. The entire crew is. They love this. You hear them on some of the nights, like the groups that are on watch, talking about like the shit they're going to get up to now that they have this, the kind of shenanigans they're going to pull now that they have this on board. Is there anything that any of you guys want to do along the voyage before you reach your destination?
I'm on deck a lot. I would love to be up in the crow's nest as much as I can. Like, I'm looking out to see if I can spot creatures.
Okay.
Do you get seasick the way you get motion sick on the train?
I don't think so. I was thinking about this and I'm like, what about it? I've established this and I think it's the train's shake. It's that wibble wobble of like the same thing that in life for me, like I can't ride a wooden roller coaster. Like it wouldn't have to have a single hill, a single, nothing. That makes me so sick. And I think that's the same thing for Einon, is that vibration. So out here, this is like lovely. This like, I think part of this whole journey, he's thinking like, I could do this. I could be a sailor. This is great.
That's so funny. I feel like it's the opposite for me at like a fair or whatever. Like, I like the wooden roller coasters, but I can't do like the ship that stomach drop feeling.
Yeah.
That I feel like is similar to when you're on a boat.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think that like, especially when it's doing the icebreaker part, it is like when you're on a speedboat, it's like ka-chung, 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 that it's doing that front drop down constantly.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I know we've talked about this before. Can I spend a fate point to make something a truth?
Yeah, you can spend a fate point to declare a story detail as true.
Okay, so I want to do that. I think that my impulse when we started going out was that I was going to spend time, making adjustments for Smee. But we've talked about that, like, when we've been in the swamp and when we've been on the earth and when we've been near the lava, like, it's always difficult for him. And I think the first day we get out here and there's, like, ice on the top of the ship, it's like he was built for this. His legs work perfectly on the ice, like that's what they were designed for.
Okay.
Like little ice picks?
Yeah, that he's got, like, the 2 flat ones that are very grippy, and then he's got the 2 picks.
I love that.
That's so cool.
And I think that's like a jarring revelation to Kade that it never occurred to him because he's never dealt with this kind of environment this intensely.
Okay.
But Smee is like built from some scavenged shit, right? But wasn't he that's where you got his name because it said something on him?
Yes, that he was like the drone that previous clockwinders would use to work on. But like this almost feels like his before.
Yeah.
Like the same way that the movement cores
were co-opted by the clockwinders that maybe Smee was as well.
Yeah.
I love that.
Nice.
I think I am also spending a lot of time on the deck, but mostly just like looking at the sky, knowing that like my parents never took me to Carcadia when they went on those longer merchant trips. Like being down here, I think is the first time that I've seen stars. I've seen like the night sky proper. So I think it's very fascinating and just like it's cold, but I've got all my gear. So I'm just like heavy bundled up, just like in a little nest on the deck, like looking at the stars.
Okay. Einon, why don't you make a notice roll? Meta-wise, this is going to be contested, but I don't think that is anything that Einon would realize necessarily.
Okay. That is a 5.
Okay, that is contested with a 3. I am going to spend a fate point to invoke an aspect called Subsurface Predator to bump it up to a 5 to a tie.
I am an experienced hunter. I know animals don't want to get caught.
Okay. Spend your fate point. While you are like studying the water from the crow's nest, you can see all of those stars reflected on the surface of the water here. You know, they are kind of twinkly, choppy because of just the movement of the water, the waves and whatnot out here. And at one point, looking like back and forth between the sky and the water, I think you notice that there appear to be stars reflected in the water that you don't see in the sky above. There are a few points of light that you are picking up on that you're like looking back at the sky and you can't find the source of them. You don't know where they're being reflected from. And as you watch them, you notice them move at a different rate than like the way the reflections seem to just be moving as the ship moves. They do seem to move in like perfect unison, as if a group of something that moves exactly together or multiple points of a single something. But they kind of start to move and they seem to descend and leave your view. And the surface of the water is once again just reflecting what the night sky shows. You all kind of settle into your routines. The Hot Nugget Soldiers On.
I love it when an episode title makes it self-evident.
I was just about to say, what a great album title.
The Hot Nugget Soldiers On.
Uh-huh.
For the remaining days, confronting more and more challenging terrain as you go along, thicker and thicker ice flows. There are some glaciers that it truly has to bypass. Like it's not going to get on top of and crush through one of them. And I think sporadically, Einon, knowing what you're looking for, you seem to notice that thing beneath the water again every now and then. It doesn't seem to be getting close. It doesn't seem to do much of anything. You'll notice those points of light somewhere near the surface. Nothing else perceptible about them, and eventually they will move on. But on the 8th day, you all can see that the mass of ice that you are coming up on it's like continental. Like it is land for all intents and purposes. You are making shore. And Carver is nodding and he says, all right, this is what I was mainly talking about. This is what I think that we will be able to force our way through some of this. I'm not sure how far exactly we can get, but I've made it this far before. But, well, I've made it this far where, he's kind of like gesturing like where I can see it. I have not made landfall on this, but I believe that it is substantial, but he kind of like pats the rail of the ship. We might be able to break our way through for a while and make some of this journey a little bit easier on ourselves. So let's see what your creation can do. And he shouts some commands for people to change the tack on the sails, make some adjustments. And Kade, he asks you to go fire up the paddles. And they get a turn in, and they are kind of slow, but they are like heavy. You know, you can tell just the amount of sheer force being output by these things. Like, it'd be hard to stop.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, that landmass grows larger and larger in view as the ship approaches until you are about to make contact with it. And the ship rubs up against it a little bit, and then the icebreaker drops, and it's like a bomb went off under the water. Like, you see a fracture form through this ice, and this landmass does start to split, but you can tell that it is dense and deep. Like, you just feel that thud of it cracking reverberate through the ice, through the water around you. And like Carver claps his hands together excitedly, like smiling. He's like, yes, amazing. This is, unbelievable to think that we could impart this kind of force. This is incredible. All right, let's keep moving. And just bit by bit, the wheels turn, the paddles drive you forward, the icebreaker lifts and drops and cracks through this extraordinarily thick layer of ice, bit by bit. And the ship is just sort of able to keep forcing its way through a little at a time. Your progress is certainly slower now. Like, the icebreaker is having to make kind of multiple passes sometimes to get through this shit, but it is making its way. And a couple hours in to this, you have made a little bit of progress. I think looking backwards, you can still see like where you hit land. Like, you have not made it over a horizon by any means. But you've just kind of left this fissure in your wake, you know, where you have managed to break through and the ice is split on either side of the ship. Einon, in one of the gaps in the ice where you can see the water somewhere below, you see those points of light again that seem to be tracking with the pace at which your ship is moving. And it's harder to see now because there is not a lot of water to look through between your ship and the ice around it. You just catch a glimpse of it. But this is clearly closer than this thing has been to your ship yet. It has closed distance. What do you want to do?
Captain, if you would, just behind port side here, take a look. See if you can see what I'm seeing.
Carver walks over. He climbs up onto the rigging so he can lean out and look over the edge of the ship. And he's kind of, narrowing his eyes, but he shakes his head a little bit. What am I looking for?
These points of light. They're closer than they've been yet. This thing has been following us for some days.
I see the chunks of ice, and I see the reflections of the stars.
Look for the ones that aren't moving the way that the rest of the stars are moving.
He's kind of like looking back and forth now between the sky and the water and narrowing his eyes, and then you see him kind of like freeze up for a moment. Oh, peculiar.
Yes, I still can't tell quite if it's one thing or many, but it is damned curious about us.
I say, do they seem to be getting larger to you?
It's closer than it's been so far.
No, I think as you are looking at it, you can see that those points of light are like getting noticeably larger underneath the ship.
Oh, shit. And I'm going to get out my bow.
You get out your bow as Carver just yells out, "Brace!" to everybody on board. And there is another massive thump, that reverberation like when the icebreaker hits. Except looking to the front of the ship, the icebreaker did not just hit. The icebreaker is currently lifted, but the ship rocks and the ice rocks, and you see cracks forming through the ice on either side of the ship, as if something has impacted the bottom of this ice shelf with catastrophic force. And I think that is where we will leave off.
No!
This go around.
Did we make it?
Megan, wake up.
Did we survive? You have to let me know.
I mean, thus far you have. We'll see what happens at the beginning of the next one.
Find out next time.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us for another episode of The Crit Show. If you would like more information on the Clockwinders or Fate, You can find that in the episode description. You can also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/thecritshow, which, among other things, can get your name read at the end of an episode if you're a donor, just like Cecilia and Madison Simpson. Thank you very much to the both of you, and thanks once again to everyone listening. Tune in next time to learn the grim fate.
Wait. Hold on.
Or maybe fine fate of our clockwinders. Everybody say bye.
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 The Crit Show is a Critshow Studios production, edited and produced by Brandon Wentz, with music by Jake Purley. You can find more information about us at theCritShowPodcast.com. To keep up to date with upcoming live shows, contests, and other special events, follow us at The Crit Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For even more weekly content, join us at patreon.com/thecritshow.